going on, guys? Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name's Boogie Bentley. We had a fun live stream last night, and the conversation was all about college football playoff or bust. Like, what do you expect of this team as we sit here, 7-1, 4 games left on the schedule? Going to be favored in 3 out of those 4 games. You got a tall task in front of you. You got to go on the road and play the Georgia Bulldogs, and we know that Josh Heupel typically struggles on the road. Really good at home, really good record inside of Neyland Stadium, but you got to go on the road. You got to play Georgia. That's going to be a tough game for this football team. But what are your expectations? You know, looking at what we've done through 8 games, I think this team, they have an elite defense. They have a national championship caliber defense. I think most people agree with that. But then you look on the offensive side of the ball, and we keep talking about how this team is taking steps. We saw it against Florida. We saw it against Alabama. We saw even glimpses of it against Kentucky. I think the bright spot in that Kentucky game is your quarterback finally went out and looked like your quarterback. He looked like he did early in the year against inferior competition, but he went out and did it against an SEC opponent in Kentucky. So if they start to click on offense, is it finally going to happen? Tennessee's got Mississippi State coming up this weekend. A huge favorite going into this game. I think it's like 24-point spread at this point. Mississippi State is really bad on defense. I think this is a get-right game for Tennessee. It's not about Mississippi State. It's about continuing to find yourself on offense. Go out, execute, make plays, and get ready for Georgia in 2 weeks because, again, college football playoff or bust. And we had this conversation last night. I'm curious what some of you think. Put it in the comment section. What happens if Tennessee loses to Georgia? They go 10-2 and they get left out of the college football playoff, because going into it, we thought 10-2 SEC team, you're probably going to be locked in for that college football playoff. As of now, that's not quite certain. We'll see how the season plays out, but what are your expectations? Interested to see what you guys say in the comment section. But is it finally happening? Is it going to click this weekend against Mississippi State? We're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down, but I need you guys to do that YouTube stuff. You know the deal. Smash the thumbs up, subscribe, click the bell for notifications. Think about joining the channel. You can do that for just $1 a month. If you like what we do around here, hit that join button. There's also a link in the description below to do that. There's also a link in the description for our merchandise. Don't plug this enough. Go check it out. bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. All kinds of fun designs. We've got rivalry T-shirts for Georgia, Florida, Alabama. We've also got a shirt to let Kentucky know that we are their daddy, but you can check it out, bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. Get a Christmas gift for a loved one, anything that you like. Go check it out. It helps the channel. We would appreciate it. But again, the link is in the description below. But let's get into it. Let's talk about what Tennessee needs to do. Is this a get-right game? That's what I'm calling it. That's how I'm going into it. And yeah, I get it. It's the SEC, right? Any given Saturday, we've seen it throughout the course of this year. Been a wild year of college football, but you look at Mississippi State, they've got a win against Eastern Kentucky, they've got a win against UMass, and they have lost every other game on their schedule. Now, they did play Georgia pretty close, lost 41-31 against Georgia, lost 34-24 against Texas A&M. So Tennessee's got to show up on Saturday night, but it's Neyland Stadium, right? The Neyland effect. Tennessee is pretty dang good inside of Neyland Stadium, so I think they just need to continue to try to find themselves on offense. And I don't even know if find themselves is the right way of phrasing it, because we've talked about how close they have been, but I've also been talking the last week or so, is it a theme? Is this who we are? Is this our identity? Are we a team that fails to execute, whether it's a left tackle missing a block, or it's a tight end missing a block, or it's a quarterback that overthrows his receiver, or it's he puts it on the money and the receiver drops it? It's always been somebody else. And we've talked about Heupel and saying it takes 11 guys doing ordinary things at an elite level, but it is so true. It takes a guy catching a football. Just go make a play, go execute. The plays are there to be made, and we've talked about how it's getting closer, and we're taking steps coming off of that Arkansas loss. A lot of people talking about play calling. I didn't have a problem with play calling. I've not had a problem with play calling this entire year. When guys are open and you're just failing to execute, that's not play calling. That's on the players to go out and make a play, and we've seen it 3 straight weeks. Tennessee comes out, scripted drives. They're moving the ball. They're moving the ball on those scripted drives. 3 weeks ago against Florida, you had Nico with the fumble. We've been saying we need to see Nico run. I want to see Nico run the football. Well, he tries to pull one and run it, and he fumbles the exchange. The following week, Sampson with the fumble. This past week against Kentucky, first drive of the game, you drive down there inside the red zone. What happens? John Campbell gets a holding call. That forces a 43-yard field goal that you miss. Second drive of the game, Chris Brazell drops a touchdown. End up punting the football there. Third drive, Andre Turrentine gets an interception, sets you up on the Kentucky 45. Great field position. You go for 17 yards on first down, set yourself up. You're thinking, all right, here we go. We're going to click now. Dylan Sampson with a fumble on the 28-yard line. And that's not who Dylan Sampson is. That's not typical of Dylan Sampson, but yet we've seen it twice in the last 2 weeks. Fourth drive of the game, Kitselman drops a touchdown. Later in the game, Chaz Nimrod wide open. Nothing but green grass between him and the end zone. He drops it. How do you fix that? Like, that's the conversation I've been having. How do you fix that? I don't think that's coaching. Do you just put the guys on the jugs machine and go catch balls till your hands bleed? Just go make a play. Help your quarterback out. Because I think your quarterback, we saw the arm talent. We saw the ball location. We saw what Nico could be early in the season, right? Against Kent State, against inferior opponents, against Chattanooga. But I said at that time, and I still believe it today to be true, it doesn't matter if it's routes on air. When you can make throws like that, you've got the arm talent. Then we saw a shakeup. I don't know if it was a lack of confidence. I don't know what the issue was. It felt like Nico had happy feet. He struggled. But then we slowly started to see him get it back. And then I think that Kentucky game may have been his best game he's played at Tennessee. 28 of 38, 292 yards and a touchdown. And I get it. That's not that impressive of numbers. But if you look at the drops, the numbers would have been through the roof. What if he threw for 403 touchdowns? Now all of a sudden we're singing a different song. 73, almost 74% completion rate, and that's with all the drops. You got to help your quarterback out. Again, Chris Brazzell with a drop. Miles Kitselman with a drop. Dante Thornton with a drop. You've been leaning on the defense. You've been leaning on the run game. You got to figure out how to put that passing game together. Dylan Sampson's been a dude, man. Dylan Sampson has been a dude all year long. Love seeing him break the record last week against Kentucky. On the season, he's 20 yards away from a 1,000-yard season, 171 carries, 980 yards, 5.7 yards per carry, 19 touchdown, broke the record. 95-year-long record. Dylan Sampson breaks it. He's gone for over 100 yards in 7 out of the 8 games this year, had 92 yards against Oklahoma on 24 carries. And that's part of this, too, for me with Dylan Sampson. He had 27 carries last week against Kentucky, 26 carries versus Alabama, 27 carries against the Gators. He's got to have somebody help him carry the load here. You can't just lean on Dylan Sampson. You still got 4 games left to go. You're hopeful for an SEC championship. You're hopeful for a college football playoff run. Dylan Sampson needs to be fresh. Dylan Sampson needs to be healthy. Just came out, Deshaun Bishop is officially out for this weekend's game against Mississippi State. So who do you lean on? And the big question is, where in the world is Cam Seldon? Where's Cam Seldon? He's just not been who we thought he was going to be. I went and looked. He's officially played in 4 games this year. 4 games. So he is looking for a red shirt. Now, why is he looking for that red shirt? Let the tinfoil hat conspiracy theories begin. It looks to me that Cam Seldon has been recruited over. And I could see Cam Seldon saying, I want my red shirt because I'm transferring and I want to be able to use that eligibility elsewhere. Now, that's me being a fan, speculating for the fans, by the fans, not an expert, not an insider. I don't have that inside information. I'm just saying you've seen it around the country, guys asking to be redshirted because they plan to enter the portal. And I could see that being, a possibility for Cam Seldon, just something worth noting, something worth putting out there. But the bottom line is you can't keep running Dylan Sampson 26, 27 times a game. He's not going to make it through this last month of the season and into the postseason. So Peyton Lewis, you're up. The true freshman got some run last week. I thought he looked good, got his first touchdown as a Tennessee Volunteer. You had Dwan Morris in the house, a recruit that you're trying to flip from USC. He made note that you had a true freshman out there getting some run. So I think that looked good for Tennessee. He's going to have to step up this weekend. We got to share some of that load. You can't let Dylan Sampson continue to carry the football over 25 times a game. It's too much. It's too much. So is it finally going to happen on Saturday night inside of Neyland Stadium? Mississippi State is really bad. You can run down the numbers: 121st in scoring defense, 127th in total defense, 106th in passing defense, 123rd in rushing defense. So this is a get right game. This is your opportunity to go out and find your identity. And again, that's probably not even the correct way to phrase it. I don't think Tennessee needs to find their identity. I think they just need to go out and execute and click and fire on all cylinders and give themselves some confidence, man. Sometimes it's just a confidence issue. I'm struggling with drops now. I'm thinking too much. I'm just not going out and playing free. And I still feel like Nico had some confidence issues, but I feel like he found his confidence in that second half of the Alabama game. And then he came out in the Kentucky game and he looked fantastic. Let's continue to see that from our young quarterback and let the guys around him help him out, bail him out, go out and make plays. Because if this team finds it on offense, watch out. If they find it on offense, watch out. You are not going to want to see them on the bracket across from you in the college football playoff. What are your thoughts? Is it finally going to come together this weekend? It's hard to believe we're 8 games into the season. We're still talking about Tennessee trying to find it on offense, but I think they can find it. I think they can peak at the right time, and I think they can go down there to Athens and beat the Georgia Bulldogs and have a shot at an SEC championship. What are your thoughts? Jump in the comment section. Let's talk about it. As always, smash the thumbs up on the way out the door. I would appreciate it. Go check out the Talkin VAWLS merchandise. Think about supporting the channel by hitting that join button. We would appreciate that. But that is going to do it for this one. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.